30. Five.
I mean, this is
30.
look, man. I am suffering. It's hard to take. How many years?
Hello, everyone. Holy fuck, what a game evening that was. Where do we even start? I 4-4 draw. No, had Palmeiras not equalized, I'd have been so pissed off. I don't know how far it would have gone on from my end, but I don't feel as downhearted with this result because it just kind of goes to show that we fucked up in that Inter Miami game. Because a win there would have given us 5 points. A draw would have given us 3 points, and that would have left Ahly on 2 points and Inter Miami on 2 points. And then Porto would have finished second on 3 points. Yes, that's not how we want to be doing things, but it would have been better than what happens. Wouldn't really have made a difference to how we'd advance. But this is there's a lot to unpack, and as of now, no one's watching, but maybe there'll be some on the replay. But yeah, where do we start with this game? Because when the lineups came out, I had some mixed feelings on it because we'd set up with the exact back three that was going shit for us, kind of after the Benfica loss, which proved particularly bad against Estrella Amadora, which was Pedro Estaca in the middle, and then Ivan Marcano. And then, wingbacks were expected. He went with Varela and Vieira. And then front three, not what I expected. Of course, Rodri Mora, I expected him to start there, but he picked Danny Damaso Loda on that at striker, and then William Gomez at on the right, which I thought at the time would be a terrible decision. But to be fair, he had the best game. He's done more here than he has done in the rest of his career at Porto. When I look at this game, before I really go into specifics of the goals, first big problem was Pedro. He and I guess João Mario, whenever Porto were in a makeshift back four, that right side of our defence was really cooked. João Mario's not the best defensively, and Pedro especially not. In fact, he gave away two onside decisions that led to Ahly scoring. Well, this was definitely a must-win for both, and neither side got it. But had either one won, then it would have meant it wouldn't have really mattered, because what ended up happening for both sides against Inter Miami is the reason that we've both gone out. The fact that Ahly couldn't take any of their chances against Inter Miami, which would have meant, well, um, I mean, I'm not sure what the goal difference would have looked like. It would have come down to goal difference. And if it was equal, then head to head. And then Porto, we had it. We were winning. We just needed to fix up a bit to kill the game off. But we let Inter Miami score two fairly early goals. And then as a result, they go 2-0 up in the third game. Palmeiras equal it up. And then, so it doesn't matter whoever won this game, because we're both out. But so yeah, pretty much certainly a strange one in the lineups. I had mixed feelings on. It felt like it wasn't really addressing what really needed to change. And then I think the first goal. No, I think Ahly probably started the better, but then I think Porto were getting chances, and then Ahly scored from first a slip from Eustachio, and then the ball went kind of to our right defensive half, in which Mario was caught in a bad position, and Zapedro he played either the goal scorer or the player who got the assist onside, and he was not strong enough, not fast enough to defend. And then the following shot, it's 4:30 a.m. here, so forgive me for any yawns. But anyway, the shot from the Palestinian striker or winger goes past Claudio Ramos. Ivan Marcano's not quick enough to clear the ball off the line, which I think in his prime he would have been able to do. But yeah, Ahly take the lead there. Then we saw some promise, including from a good shot from William Gomez that wasn't far off the target. Then fantastic goal from Rodri Imora, having there's some good passing in the build up, and then once it got to him, he passed two players, then rounded El Shanawi and put the ball in the back of the net. From it was a good tap in. It's excellent self-service to allow him to score. And then around at a time, Porto give away a penalty after Fabio Vieira does clip the back of it of wherever his name was. Which was unlucky, I suppose, but I couldn't really see any reason to like properly overturn that. And then, of course, he scored from the spot. And then second half, William Gomez scores a fantastic goal, and I'm hooked. I'm hyped. I'm ready to fix this up. But then shortly after, Ahly score from cross down the right hand side. Yeah, maybe Francisco Moura could have done better. but Zepedro is poorly positioned. He's beaten in the air, which result in a goal. Wait, there's like a free period of goals, but this was actually the first one. It wasn't actually William Gomez's equaliser, but after going 3-2 down, Porto go down to the other end, win a corner, and then it was Ahly's turn to have bad defending as a great cross. Samu doesn't actually move much, but then his header goes in, and then sometime afterwards, Ahly down the other end, Zepedro again allows a player to be onside, which then sets up for the goal scorer. And by the way, before this fourth goal, the Palestinian young player who plays at the left wing, he got a hat trick today. So good on him to an extent. And I say it to an extent because it didn't end up meaning anything apart in the grand scheme of things. But going back to the fourth goal, that Ahly scored, the plays around the area, Zepedro leaves a player onside. I think it might have actually been the Palestinian player, which then set up what was a very good goal, but it could have been dealt with. And then and then Porto weren't able to. I mean, they had like some moments, like a deflected shot that went for a corner. They had Samu with a bad miss. Most of Gonzalo Borges' crosses were unsuccessful, but the one that actually worked, Samu, who'd come on for Danny Namaso Loader, he had a free header that should have easily been a goal. Now, I'm no professional striker, but surely it's better to prioritize hitting the target as opposed to making sure it beats the keeper. But though that being said, it may have just been a bit of pressure, a bit of rush. So I probably retract that statement. But Ahly could have just finished Porto off. They had multiple counterattacks. They had multiple easy chances that could have been the game done and dusted, but they missed a lot of chances. Eventually, Pepe scores a wonder goal. And that was 3 very good goals that Porto had scored. And by contrast, 3 goals that Jose Zepedro was partially responsible for, or in terms of conceding. And then sometime after 4-4, it broke that. Well, Palmeiras had equalised at some point, like quite late in the game, and then around added time, or just as it must have been just after added time had kicked in, because I do recall being like a bit hyped to potentially get a winner, but I think so. It was confirmed that Inter Miami versus Palmeiras had ended in a draw, which means it meant that I wasn't as tense. So at least this result, the fact that Inter Miami and Palmeiras ended in a draw, meant this result wasn't such a bitter pill to swallow. But it really did all come down to that second game against Inter Miami, which we should have closed the game out. But for this one, 4 goals, that should be enough for us to win, but thanks to some awful defending, especially from Jose Zapedro, and the fact that Fabio Vieira gave away a penalty, means that we don't win despite scoring 4 goals. And then I think we've got to question Martin M. Salmi as well. I mean, I could certainly see he's like kind of trying to make sure that Porto were like mentally switched on, especially after scoring that third equaliser. But good morning, AD. Defense, yep. Well, for both sides, but the fact I think he shouldn't have allowed us to be in a position where we're conceding this many, but also like going behind quite early on and like not pushing on not like properly managing the game after we'd scored. But it's not just on today. We've seen problems from Martin and Selmy from the last game. There was some selection issues against Palmeiras, and then our season was ultimately done after that second awful defeat to Benfica and losing away at Estrela Amadora, even though we ended on a pretty good like last few games. So I think he's got to go. And I know that the squad this season, we've had 2.5 managers. I say half because I'm also including the under 23s coach that temporarily came in. They've not particularly got the most out of this squad. But as I said in the preview stream, if Anselmi needs like particularly type of players to do what he wants to actually get us to work, then that's a problem in and of itself, because a better manager don't we want to do the same but with a better manager? And then even Victor Bruno actually did get a tune out of these players. Like, he was able to. I mean, the big problem was the big games and also the last 2 games he had. But even then, generally he was doing a okay job at getting results. And I think had he been here, I think we probably would go through it in second place. But that's the issue. If I'm going to put it down to like 5 reasons why we've not been able to go through, one is Anselmi, because I think there was an imbalance in midfield in the first 2 games. The fact that we went behind here meant that the game was going to get imbalanced, and that's that start of the second half against Inter Miami was just atrocious. And the fact that he wasn't able to get the players in like a proper position to actually be able to keep us in front. Second reason, Jose Pedro, because first game I thought defense as a collective unit we've defended well, but despite of him, the first half he's made some poor clearances, which led to Palmeiras' chances. Second half, he looked he got dominated. Maybe not dominated, but he was like second favorite every time there was like a one-on-one opportunity. Third reason was not winning that Inter Miami game, and fourth reason, this defense, which sort of does link into the first two reasons, but still, should have been enough to win. And like we had some good quality. Most of our goals were like good quality. So like probably a 3-1 or a 3-2 defeat win could have suited us. That could have suited us. But even though that wouldn't have mattered in the grand scheme of things because of the draw in the other game. And the fifth reason, if there is any, I'm sure there is, there's like a multitude of little reasons why it's not been able to go our way. But I mean, the selection. I'm not sure. I don't know why he. I think from like stream one, me, Rui, Orge, we were all saying that clearly the best lineup has got to be outfielders of Fernandez, Perez, Marcano, Francisco Mora, Estacio, Varela in the DM positions, and then the attacking three of Vega, Vieira, Mora, Rodri Mora, and then like Samu up front. But yeah, in both the games, Martin Amselmi went with a back three of which again a back three could work with because you got Jean Mario who works better as a wing back and Francisco Mora can also work as a wing back. And if you pick like the right centre backs and not fucking Jose Pedro, that could also work because there was like a fair reason to have Martin Fernandez there if you wanted to like interchange between a back three and a back four. And then Marcano, he at least offers experience, even though he was tiring but did have some heroic moments. But obviously, Nohan Perez is better than Jose Pedro. So why he's like, and even Otavio is better than Jose Pedro. And I said it in the stream. I don't care what party antics Otavio did. He's still fucking better than Jose Pedro. I mean, surely the bench time has got to be enough for Otavio, and the mistakes Jose Pedro's making is a punishable act for him to be benched. But as I said, the three of us could all see that the best lineup was, as I mentioned earlier, 4-2-3-1 with the players I mentioned, and this back three he went with could have been good with the right players and did make sense. The problem was just the selection. He had Jose Pedro, who's in the centre defence who's utter wank. He went with like a midfield imbalance between Alan Varela and Fabio Vieira, which Fabio Vieira can play as a centre midfielder, but he's like best as an attacking midfielder. And to play him as like in a central pivot, imbalance the team with him and Alan Varela. And then Gabri Vega hasn't really made an impact at all. And I can't really put too much fault into Samu and Rodrigo Mora. But there was like faultiness in that first game with that lineup, that starting lineup. He went with the same one. As a result, we looked disjointed in most of our attacks in the first half. And in the second half, we ended up we conceded 2 fairly early goals and never recovered from that. Our chances after that were just not convincing at all. And then and that loss has ultimately taken us out of the competition. One that arguably was our easiest, given Inter Miami's limitations. We probably could have won that like 3-1 had we been better, or even had Vito Bruno as manager, which I'm not calling him back, but he's shown more than what Martin Anselmi has. The only thing Martin Anselmi has over Vito Bruno is the fact that he got a draw against Sporting CP. But and then for this game, defensively there was issues, and also the heat that can only there's going to be some mental frailties with kind of that in mind. But I mean the defensive sense was just wrong, especially in that right side. And I think that's just kind of the main issue, and also the fact that the lack of game management early from Martin Anselmi brought the rest of this upon us. So after 1-1, that is, and so had we not won this, or had we won this and not by a strong enough margin, then I would have been really pissed. But the fact that it ends in a draw and that the Inter Miami versus Palmeiras games ends in a draw and a result either way wouldn't really have mattered, but for either side. But I really don't see how it can like significantly go in the right direction even if Martin Anselmi got like the exact players he wanted. We need to change. And when I was speaking to Jorge, who wasn't able to make the preview stream for this game, I assume that got to make a change to this. But yeah, I even if Anselmi gets the players he wants, I just don't think that's going to help Porto get in the direction that they need to get. I think if you want to get access to the players you want, you need to do at least a fairly good job with the ones you've currently got, or if it's adapt in the short term. But I think we definitely should have won based on the fact. Well, the draw was deserved, but I think Porto should have done more to win based on some of the kind of poor end game management in the first half. And I mean, I can't read too much into like the defensive laps like late on in the game because the heat and like tiredness. But still, the fact that Zé Pedro had like a part to play in 3 out of the four goals, that says a lot. And he's clearly what the fourth best centre back, if at all. And if you want to include Martin Fernandez, then he's fifth best. Um, so yeah, I think the in-game management in the first half, and plus Zepedro being a shit defender, has meant we haven't won here. But also the first period of that second half against Inter Miami, Martin Elmi's his management and also not killing the game off in that first half. That's the reason we've not advanced, even though we could have done better here. Because no matter what, because I it's going to take some faith from the owner for Martin and Selby to stay. Uh, but it's almost 5 a.m. What more is there to say? But Porto are out. It was there were faulty moments, but some very good goals that maybe deserved enough to get a draw, but we could have done more that would have got us the win. And we definitely should have done better in that game against Inter Miami. But thanks to those who've briefly come in, and AD had left a comment. And thanks to those for watching on the replay. Leave me your thoughts. What did you think of also in this World Cup, in this game, and also what's next for Martin O'Sullivan, Porto's new manager? I'll likely discuss that in like a separate stream or video. But yeah, it's the end of the road for Porto. A crazy 4-4 draw, which the result ended up not mattering wherever it went because of the fact that Porto and Ahly weren't able to beat Inter Miami previously, and the fact that Inter Miami got a draw against Palmeiras. So yeah, we're gonna end it there. Leave us your thoughts, and until next time, Forza Porto and sell me out. Jose Pedro out.